came up to me and put her hand on my cheek and said, Inshallah, which is God's will. Because these people over there, doesn't matter what bad things happen to them, that they can accept it right away as God's will because they're deeply religious. But no, it wasn't God's will. It was my fucking order. I gave the order to fire those rockets into that building, and I killed her family. And that's when I knew that I was put in a situation where I had to do that. I thought I had to do that to keep myself and my Marines alive, thinking that, well, man, that was the best thing I could do at the time. Well, I have to live with that decision.
I killed my 2 best friends and was sentenced to death. My name YNW Melly, and this is my story. Picture this, a night filled with bad choices and tragic consequences. Me and my 2 friends riding in a Jeep Trackhawk caught up in a moment of madness. We thought we were invincible, living life on the edge. But that night took a dark turn. Shots rang out in the back seat and fear gripped our hearts. The bullets found their mark and my friends were gone. In the blink of an eye, everything changed. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself facing the unimaginable. The law accused me of the unthinkable. They said I was responsible for the deaths of my own friends. I couldn't believe it. I was lost in a nightmare, desperately trying to wake up. The trial was like a whirlwind filled with emotions and pain. The evidence against me seemed overwhelming, 66 whole pages, and my heart sank with every passing day. I knew deep down that my life would never be the same. Then came the verdict, a sentence that shattered my world, the death penalty. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The weight of the guilt, the sorrow, and the consequences were overwhelming. But in this darkness, I find a glimmer of hope. I know I must face the consequences of my actions and seek forgiveness. I'm still fighting, not just for myself, but for the memory of my friends and for a chance to make things right. So as I sit here contemplating the choices that led me to this point, I can't help but feel the weight of regret. I am YNW Melly, and this is the painful story of my mistakes, my losses, and my battle for redemption.
I would like to order a pizza.
You called 911 to order a pizza?
Yeah.
This is the wrong number to call for a pizza.
But the caller wasn't really calling for a pizza.
No, you're not.
I'm getting you now.
It took just a moment for dispatcher Tim Tenike to realize this Ohio woman was making a secret plea in code.
What apartment? Is the other guy still there?
Yep. I need a large pizza.
All right. How about medical? You need medical?
No, with pepperoni.
All right. We'll get him going.
Thank you.
How did you know that this woman was speaking in code?
She didn't go away from the story that she wanted a pizza. She stuck right to it. I knew there was something else going on.
The dispatcher alerted police.
Domestic violence. Turn your sirens off before you get there. Caller ordered a pizza and agreed with everything I said that there's domestic violence going on.
When police arrived, they found the 911 caller was a young woman who says she called 911 because her mother was being assaulted by a boyfriend. Tiffany Urban is the quick-thinking daughter who cooked up the secret pizza code.
I was thinking to myself, okay, I need to call 911, but how do I get him to stay in the house so he will be taken out in handcuffs? And I just thought, pizza.
Were you worried at first that the dispatcher wouldn't know what you were trying to do?
I was worried. When I said, no, like, I was like, don't hang up on me.
Police arrested the boyfriend for domestic violence, all thanks to this clever daughter, an astute 911 operator who knew a call for pizza was really a cry for help.
I thank him from the bottom of my heart.
I would like to order a pizza.
A case that ended with a shocking twist. On the 19th of February in 2008, 9-year-old Shannon Louise Matthews was reported missing by her mother, Karen. Shannon was last seen at 3:10 outside of her school, only half a mile away from her home. By the time Karen called 999, it was 6:48 p.m. in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire, and Shannon still hadn't returned home from school. Within hours of her disappearance, a massive police search began, ultimately involving over 250 officers and 60 detectives. Hundreds of neighbours, friends and family joined Karen Matthews in the search for her daughter. Karen made TV appearances begging the public to help her find Shannon alive. The Sun newspaper even offered a £50,000 reward to anyone who could provide information that helped with the investigation. But after 20 days of endless searching, Shannon was still nowhere to be seen. That was until the 14th of March, 24 days after she was first reported missing. Police had finally located Shannon, and she was alive. For 24 days, she had been hidden in the base of a bed in a flat belonging to a man named Michael Donovan. And Michael Donovan was the uncle of her mum Karen's boyfriend. So it turned out that Shannon's mum Karen was involved in her daughter's kidnapping all along. She had concocted this abduction plan hoping to claim the reward money after her daughter's safe return. Shannon was understandably shaken after this ordeal. She'd spent over 3 weeks restrained inside a bed, regularly being given substances as a means to sedate her. Ultimately, Karen Matthews and Michael Donovan were found guilty of kidnapping and false imprisonment, and obstructing the course of justice. But both have since been released from prison and are living under new identities. Shannon received regular therapy after the incident, later being given a new identity and being placed with a foster family.
Tim!
Hello?
Hello? Is it you?
Hey, do you want to grab something to eat?
Yeah, go ahead. You done with anything when you done it?
Sure.
Are you gonna make help? I know you're still there. Come on, you're not scaring me.
Hey, what kind of ice cream did you want?
Whatever. Chocolate?
Done.
You scare me. You shouldn't jump out at somebody like that.
Sorry. I brought you ice cream and beer.
Thanks. Why did you move my clothes?
I didn't.
They were all over the place.
While Cooper was outside in the car dying, Ross was busy sending nudes to a total of 9 different women. This is their adorable son, Cooper Harris. He was born on August 8th of 2012. It was a completely normal morning on June 18th of 2014. Ross was in charge of bringing Cooper to daycare every day on his way to work, and then Leanna would pick him up on her way home. So on that day, Leanna left work around 4 p.m. She headed straight to Cooper's daycare to pick him up. However, when she went in there, she went up to the teacher that was, running Cooper's class, and she said that Cooper wasn't there and was never dropped off that morning. He would instantly go into panic, and she did, although her behavior, she was very, very calm for someone in this type of situation. Her first thought was that someone kidnapped Cooper from daycare, but then her second thought was, and she said this out loud, maybe Ross left him in the car. So now it was 5:09 p.m. She couldn't get a hold of Ross. There was no sign of Cooper, and she was left completely confused. So Leanna decided to go to Ross's office, and when she got there, everyone in the lobby was watching the TV.
A 22-month-old child died in the back parking lot here. She mentioned apparently had been in the back of a very hot car.
Finally, her phone rang, and it was a detective, and he said to just stay where she was. He was going to come to her, and when he got there, he said this.
There'll be no easy way to tell you this. Your child is deceased.
So let's back up a little bit here and talk about how this whole day went down. Around 7:15 a.m., Leanna says that she kissed Cooper goodbye and went to work. Ross put Cooper in the car and they left, and they actually went to Chick-fil-A first to get some breakfast. There's even video footage of them in Chick-fil-A. Everything looks fine, but then Ross did something really, really weird. He usually would turn left at a specific intersection to take Cooper to daycare on the way to work. But on that day, he went straight through the intersection, going right past Cooper's daycare. Went into his office parking lot with Cooper still in the back. And 30 seconds later, he exited the vehicle, locking it and leaving Cooper outside in the parking lot in the hot sun. At 4:15 p.m., Ross left work, went into his car, got in like everything was normal, and drove out of the parking lot. He seems to still not have been aware that his son was in the back, because he continued to drive a full 1.5 miles before pulling over after he realized that Cooper was dead in the back. He got out of his car and started frantically asking people for help, and someone called the police after seeing him doing this. Some other person got Cooper, laid him on the ground, and started to try to do CPR on him. Meanwhile, Ross was doing nothing. When the police got there, they described Ross as acting extremely unusual. Said that someone else was giving his son CPR and Ross was just walking around the parking lot on his cell phone. With Ross's behavior being so strange.
Yolanda Saldívar is one of the most hated women in all of American history. She murdered our beautiful Selena Quintanilla in 1995. Here are all the events that led up to the murder. Get this, Yolanda Saldívar was a nurse. So somebody who was meant to help people survive and live and take care of them, she ended up murdering her? Crazy. In 1991, Yolanda attended one of Selena's concerts. This is when she became a super fan of Selena. After the concert, she started calling Selena's father Abraham non-stop. And what was she calling for? She wanted to make a fan club for Selena. Abraham, Selena's father, eventually gave her permission to start the fan club. In his own words, he said that she seemed genuine and that she seemed very excited to work for Selena. Yolanda actually quit her nursing job and became a full-time employee of Selena. It was around the time that Amor Prohibido reached #1 in the Latin Billboard charts. Can you imagine the envy this woman must have had for Selena? Yolanda in interviews would say that Selena was her idol. Okay, but let's talk about this foundation, because I haven't used foundation in a couple of months. It's from Essence Cosmetics, and look at the glow. Where's that coming from? After a couple of years of working with Selena, Yolanda was not only managing the fan club, she was also helping Selena open her 2 clothing boutiques. This meant she had a lot of access to Selena. In an interview, Abraham said that he started noticing that Yolanda was becoming obsessed with Selena. For example, if Selena was at a concert, Yolanda would physically act as a barrier between Selena and her fans. Abraham told her, "This is not your job. We have bodyguards for that." She wanted Selena all to herself. Eventually, some of the employees from the boutique started complaining about Yolanda. The employees started to complain that she had mismanaged funds from the fan club. In other words, she was embezzling money from the fan club. How could she claim that Selena was her idol, that she loved her, and she wanted to help her, while you're stealing money from her? But you guys, it doesn't stop there. The employees also said that she was destroying designs. Same designs that were being made for the boutique, Yolanda was destroying those designs. And she was even threatening the employees. And the cherry on top, she was recording the employees. This is when Abraham started investigating all of the claims that the employees were making. And indeed, he found that she had embezzled $30,000. Then he started getting complaints from the members of the fan club saying that they had paid their dues but had not received any merchandise. You know what's so terrifying? That Yolanda was acting like a saint in front of Selena. To these employees, she was being terrible. She was abusing them. Unfortunately, Selena never believed that Yolanda would be capable of such a thing. March 9th of 1995, Selena and her father Abraham decided to confront Yolanda about the embezzlement. Abraham said that during the confrontation, Selena was very emotional because she couldn't believe that Yolanda would be capable of such a thing. But Yolanda, on the other hand, was defensive and said she just didn't know about any of it. So she basically denied everything. During the confrontation, Abraham told Yolanda that they would get the police involved if she did not return the funds. You guys, 2 days after that, she purchases a gun. She told the gun store that she had been having problems with the family of an elderly person that she had been taking care of because she was a nurse, and that she was buying the gun for protection. But like I said before, Selena refused to believe that she would be capable of any of this. Selena did not cut Yolanda off, and this made Yolanda really happy. In fact, Selena asked Yolanda to help her open up another boutique store in Monterrey, Mexico. Guess what Yolanda did? She returned the gun. Yolanda was so happy that she hadn't been cut off, she went and returned the gun. But a few days after that conversation, Selena started asking Yolanda for some important documents that she needed to return to them. And what did Yolanda do? She went and repurchased the gun. Is that not as premeditated as it can get?
This is 20-month-old baby Isaiah. Now do me a favor. Imagine for a moment that this is your daughter. Would you for any reason ever leave her home alone? I didn't think so. She, however, would. This is her 18-year-old mother, Verfi Cootie. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, and frankly, I do not care. Between the months of October and December of 2019, Verfi had left Isaiah home alone a handful of times, at least 5 times, with the longest period of time being 2 days. So 2 whole days, this baby is home alone to fend for herself. Now, on December 5th, 2019, Verfi decided she wanted to go out and celebrate her 18th birthday, even though baby Isaiah had been sick with the flu. Verfi had even canceled plans with the family because of Isaiah having the flu. I guess she was just like, I don't want to take her out because she's sick, which, okay, that's, that makes sense. It probably would be best not to bring the baby out with the flu. Instead of asking someone to watch Isaiah, Verfi goes to celebrate her birthday with her boyfriend, leaving Isaiah in the apartment. Once again, she goes 50 miles to London, and there she lives it up. On the 7th, this is 2 days after leaving Isaiah in the apartment, she was seen at a concert and even asked the DJ to give her a shout out for her birthday. So it would not be until almost 6 days later that Verfi would return to the apartment. So this is when she initially left the apartment on December 5th, 2019, which was a Thursday at 5:40 p.m. This is her returning home on December 11th, 2019, which was a Wednesday at 3:38 p.m. So all this time, Isaiah is just in the apartment by herself. When Verfi gets back into the apartment, she finds Isaiah unresponsive. And this is when she feels like it's a good idea to go on social media and tell her family members that Isaiah is just not doing well. At this time, Isaiah had already passed away. It would be 2.5 hours before Verfi would finally contact emergency services. And that's when they come and take Isaiah to the hospital, where she is pronounced deceased. So her cause of death was a combination of the flu as well as starvation. So just think about this. For exactly 5 days, 21 hours, and 58 minutes, this baby was by herself, sick with the flu, no food, no water, no milk, no one there to change her diapers, which resulted in a really bad diaper rash. Obviously, I know of children that have sat in diapers for even hours at a time and have gotten really bad rashes. So you can just imagine how bad this baby had to suffer. But it doesn't end there. And her mom is obviously arrested, rightfully so. She's a piece of trash. I'm sorry to say it. But in November of 2022, she pleads guilty to manslaughter and receives only 9 years. 9 years in jail for leaving her daughter home while she's out dancing and having a good time. 9 years, and this woman gets to live a free life while her baby doesn't get to live her life. I'm sure she will never have to suffer as much as this baby has had to suffer, but I hope that in jail, she feels just a little bit of that. I hope they don't treat her very well in there. And I definitely feel like she deserves more than 9 years.
The story of Khaleesi William, a 16-year-old girl murdered while recording what would be her last TikTok video. Disclaimer: the video is to bring awareness to Khaleesi Williams' story and meant to cause no harm. Please pray for the friends and the family of the victim. Atlanta, Georgia, gained national news in 2020 after a horrifying death of a young girl. In December 2020, Khaleesi Williams, a 16-year-old high school student, received an invite to a party that was going to be held at an Airbnb. This party would be chaperoned by an adult. Khaleesi's stepfather, Ronnie Savoy, encouraged her to go to the event since she had been confined to her house since the lockdown due to COVID-19.
He's supposed to be at an Airbnb with a couple of more friends from school and the mother. They'd have done this once before, so we was a little comfortable of letting her go the second time. And we spoke to the mother, and she said she was going to be there.
April Smith, Khaleesi's mother, agreed with her daughter getting some time out of the house and enjoying herself. The chaperone informed Khaleesi's parents that the event would be an Airbnb party for children and that she would be responsible for everything. The parents felt at ease and decided that sending Khaleesi to spend the night would be good for her. At 12:02 a.m., Khaleesi is seen performing a dance routine in her TikTok video when someone suddenly entered her room without knocking. The teen looked shocked and afraid, then suddenly stops filming her video. The sound of gunshots could be heard from her room a few minutes later. Partygoers were unaware of what happened to Khaleesi. Two guys discovered Khaleesi on the floor of her hotel room. They carried her to the elevator while holding her from behind and supporting her legs. As of 12:27 a.m., authorities had been notified about an earlier disturbance at Hyatt Regency. Following their arrival, the cops went to check on Khaleesi. She wasn't breathing and had no pulse. She was then transferred to the hospital, where she remained for some time. The medical staff tried to save Khaleesi's life but were unsuccessful. The 16-year-old was pronounced dead in the hospital. Khaleesi's parents called the chaperone to check on the well-being of their child, but were only informed about their child's death 8 hours after she passed. It was a shock to Khaleesi's parents to learn of what had happened to their daughter. They were enraged because the chaperone had failed to tell them sooner of the occurrence.
The hotel room was in her name, so I feel like she should be held accountable for my daughter's death as well.
They didn't learn the group was staying at a Hyatt Regency until they received a horrific call the next day.
Like, this is the morgue. And I was like, the morgue? They was like, yes, ma'am. They was like, well, we're waiting on your daughter's body to come through. I'm like, whoa.
Khaleesi's parents say that call didn't come until 8:45 a.m. The teen was pronounced dead at 12:23 in the morning.
Khaleesi's parents were also unaware that the party had moved to Hyatt Regency Hotel instead of the Airbnb that was previously discussed. The parents felt like the chaperone should be held accountable for the tragedy that happened to their daughter, since she took responsibility for the safety of the children at the party, and her parents only allowed Khaleesi to attend the party on the assurance that the chaperone would look after her. Atlanta Police Department reports that Khaleesi knew her attacker. Anthony Grant, the police spokesman of the Atlanta Police Department, reported as follows. Preliminary investigation suggests that the victim was inside of a room at the Hyatt Regency with a juvenile male companion. A verbal dispute occurred between both parties which resulted in the juvenile male fatally shooting the victim. The juvenile is a 16-year-old boy, but identity is being concealed. A 16-year-old boy was taken into custody by Atlanta police and taken to Atlanta Police Headquarters for additional questioning. At this time, the boy admitted to shooting Khaleesi after they got into a heated argument. Police then arrested the boy and charged him with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a gun by someone younger than 18 years of age. The defendant is now being tried in an Atlanta court pending the court's ultimate judgment. Khaleesi's parents also hold the hotel staff responsible for her child's death, and they protested outside of the Hyatt Regency Hotel along with supporters to express their outrage at the hotel's negligence that resulted in their daughter's death.
I want the surveillance footage of what happened, you know, who went.
Now, a lot of people have been tagging me in this video, so I'm here to explain the backstory to this whole thing. The woman you see in this video is named Gloria Ramirez, dubbed by the media as the Toxic Lady. She was dubbed this because in February 19th of 1994, she was rushed to Riverside General Hospital. Their staff tried to treat and revive Gloria Ramirez, but soon noticed something weird was happening with her body, as she was covered with this greasy substance, and when nurses tried to draw blood from her, they noticed a strange smell coming from her blood. This smell eventually got so strong to the point where it was making medical staff faint or pass out. It's reported that 23 out of 37 staff members were suffering symptoms like feeling nauseous or fainting on the spot. And it said that 5 of those staff members were hospitalized later on. The situation got so bad to the point where they had to evacuate the hospital. Some staff remember remaining in the hospital for 10 days, with one person spending 2 weeks in the hospital in intensive care. Ramirez unfortunately ended up dying due to complications with her cancer shortly after arriving at the hospital. To this day, this case remains a big mystery, as nobody knows what caused Ramirez's blood to be so toxic. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and follow for more.
What the fuck? Is this thing on?
Did she beg you to stop? Did you hear her lungs gargling with blood? Or did you see it in her face when she realized she could no longer breathe due to her collapsed lungs? What were her last words? Did you stay to watch her die? Or did you leave her there in agonizing pain as you ran away?
Now a lot of people have been tagging me in this video, so I'm here to explain the backstory to this whole thing. The girl you see here is named Tristy Bailey, who on Mother's Day was found brutally stabbed and slashed to death. Now Tristy was one of 5 children of Stacy and Forrest Bailey. She lived in Florida and attended Patriot Oaks Academy, where she was a cheerleader. On May 9th, 2021, Tristan's parents reported her missing. After her mother came back home and didn't find her in her room, the neighborhood came together to try and find Tristan, but failed. That's when the police got involved, where they found Tristan's body stabbed 114 times. A nearby neighbor's CCTV camera captured Tristan walking alongside with what appeared to be Aiden Fucci, who at the time was 14 years old. But then 2 hours later, Aiden can be seen running back home alone. Police quickly took Aiden Fucci in for questioning, where Aiden took a Snapchat picture and a video in the back of a cop car. It was obvious that Aiden wasn't taking the situation seriously.
Having fun in a cop car. Yep. Tristan, what's up, guys? Yep. Tristan, if you can walk out the damn. When you see this in a month, this in a cop car, guys. Tripping, dude.
Until investigators saw the snap as well as a response saying, "You were with her, Aiden. You know what happened to her." Investigators also noticed Aiden switching up his story every time he was questioned about the night. After constant interrogation, Aiden finally confessed to being with Bailey that night, and that they were both heading to a friend's house. On their way back, however, Aiden says that they both got into an argument, and he pushed Bailey and Bailey struck her head on a rock on the way down. But investigators found a pocket knife with the tip missing, the same weapon that was used to stab Bailey 114 times. This weapon also belonged to Aiden. They also investigated Aiden's home, where they found blood-stained clothes and blood-stained shoes. It was concluded that Aiden lured Bailey out of her house, as they were neighbors, then brought her to a secluded area where he stabbed her 114 times, all over her body. Nobody knows why Aiden killed Tristan. It's being stated that Aiden had no motive to kill Bailey, as his peers say that he always fantasized about killing somebody. Aiden was arrested for first-degree murder and charged with the death of Tristan Bailey, and he was tried on February of 2023, where he pleaded guilty, and on March 24th, 2023, he was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison at the age of just 16 years old. Like and follow for more.
This is why you should fear for your life if you buy or sell items on Facebook Marketplace. 56-year-old Denise Williams of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, wanted to buy a refrigerator for her boyfriend. She found one listed on Facebook Marketplace. The seller was 26-year-old Joshua Gorgon. Denise went to his apartment alone to check out the fridge, but never came out. On Monday, she was reported missing by her family, and police were able to track her using her phone and information from a Facebook account. She was found dead from multiple stab wounds at Joshua's apartment. Joshua was arrested and charged with criminal homicide. When he was interviewed by Cambria County detectives, he admitted to stabbing Williams to death with a kitchen knife following an argument over the cost of the refrigerator.